I, female 28, have been seeing my boyfriend 30 for slightly over a year now. He has 2 kids, a female tween and a male pre-tween, from his past relationship and has them every other weekend. We don't live together. He shares an apartment with his brother, and I live alone in the apartment I own. I don't like people in my space, and kids even less so. My home is my sanctuary. Recently, my boyfriend asked if he could move in with me. He's usually a chill guy, and I was considering it, but I decided against it since he is a dad, and wherever his home is, his kids would have a right to it too. I don't want kids messing up my home. I told him no, but he started begging, saying how his brother wants to move his girlfriend in. They want him out, and he can't afford an apartment by himself. He went ahead saying since I own my apartment, he could save up on rent as well. I stood stern on my decision and told him while I understood his situation, I didn't want to open my home to kids. He tried saying how it's just 4 to 6 days a month, and he'll make sure they behave. I refused to relent, and now he's calling me an idiot because of whom he'll lose custody. If he can't find a good home, his ex will sue him. Am I the idiot for not letting my boyfriend move in because I don't want kids in my space and may cause him to lose custody? Edit. It's not a serious relationship. At least I never considered it to be. He stays over 2 to 3 nights a week at most. We never talked about commitment, long-term or moving in before. In the beginning, I had told him I didn't want anything serious, and he had usual. I am not child-free. I do hang out with kids. I have nieces and nephews I babysit at their homes or take out for fun. I haven't met my boyfriend's kids because he said we weren't serious, and he didn't want to bring random people into the kids' lives. I accepted that because we aren't serious. This asking to move in was out of the blue. I don't want kids in my apartment because kids tend to be destructive and make a lot of noise. I've seen what his kids have done to the apartment he shares with his brother. They've legit broken a Mac laptop of his. If they were teens or better behaved, I might have considered more. So he wants to move in and not pay rent because you own your apartment, so he can save on rent? That would be a red flag for me and an absolute no-no. Not the idiot, since you both agreed you're not serious. He's in trouble, and you are the easy way out of his financial problems. Do not let this dude move in. Yeah, this guy is, reading between the lines, broke as heck. He will be leeching off her. He's calling me an idiot because of whom he'll lose custody? I'd wash my hands of him after he said that. If he loses custody, it'll be because he's not financially stable enough to afford his own place. It's not OP's role as the casual girlfriend who has never even met the children to provide him and his kids a stable home. Also, he said that he intends to save enough money to move out, which shows he sees moving in as a convenience, not something he wants to do to take a step forward in his relationship with OP. Right? This is the thing to focus on. This man has children. He knows what he has to do to retain custody of them, and he's somehow failed to plan beyond. I'll sponge off the person who's been very clear for a year that she does not care for children in our home. Andy thinks a successful plan to sponge off of the OP is to insult her until she gives in? $10 says living with a brother was only supposed to be temporary until this guy got on his feet financially. This dude is a mess. The OP needs to say, "It's been fun, but it's clear we want different things. Good luck." My husband and I were arguing about paternity testing after reading lots of Reddit stories about it. He said that men should be able to get it without judgment, and I said that women should be trusted in a committed relationship. I told him that if he wanted a DNA test, then we shouldn't have kids. He came back to me with a blank page and told me to sign it. I asked him why, and he said to me that he wants it. I told him that I would never sign a blank paper. He asked me whether I thought he would use it for bad things or ever harm me. I said, no, I don't. Then he told me I shouldn't worry, sign it and trust him. Then he said he wouldn't ask for a DNA test because he trusted me, but I should also show my trust and sign on the blank paper. He said he wouldn't have kids with me unless I did it. It's stupid. They're not equivalent, and no one should sign a blank paper. That's the first thing we're taught. He just told me to trust him and sign it. He says he needs to know his wife trusts him completely before he can have children. I can't explain my viewpoint properly. He feels he got me. Am I wrong here? Please don't have children together. The fact that you're arguing over DNA or signing a blank piece of paper clearly indicates that your relationship has trust issues. Just the tip of the iceberg. Get professional help. There are issues between you two that need to be worked out. I mean, I wouldn't sign a blank piece of paper either. I'm a consultant, and one of my clients gave me the signature page of a contract and asked me to sign it. Just a massive red flag. It turns out they were just incompetent, but it is unreasonable to ask someone to do this. OP's husband is a bully and a manipulator. Seems pretty clear he's trying to forge your signature on some idiotic contract. Lady, this guy's not going to change. I disagree. Like, what the heck are you honestly afraid of with your signature on a blank piece of paper? This entire argument is stupid AF. OP is a moron. Not only did she completely miss the point of this argument, but she also thinks her signature on a blank piece of paper is a powerful weapon. Signing a literal blank piece of paper is of no legal consequence. If someone uses your signature to attach a document without your approval, that's fraud. I agree. In terms of an analogy, he's got a point. You don't trust him. Not enough to hand over that kind of carte blanche and trust him not to use it against you. You're saying you think he might be the sort of monster that would betray you after all, yet you expect him to hand over 20 years of raising a kid that might not be his, and you get butthurt that he's showing you to prove a point that he trusts you only as much as you trust him, which is well short of 100%. I, 28 female, really struggled as a teenager. I lost my mother suddenly when I was 14, and that affected my mental health. I became very introverted and left school with no real friends. I was teased a lot for various reasons, but mostly because I was sulky and never had new things. I had the same pencil case, coat, and bag from 12 through 18. To make matters worse, I had a form teacher, I think that's like homeroom in America, who was always trying to be friends with the popular kids, and therefore joined in on teasing me for my appearance and demeanor, and just generally made me feel awful about myself. Having few childhood friends, I was always really close to my father, 53. That started to shift as I grew up. I've since moved away and have 2 sons. I've seen my father twice since 2020, and he visited to see my sons on both occasions. Despite this, we talk and FaceTime multiple times weekly, and he tells me about his dog and his life. I know he's been seeing someone since late 2021, and she and her 2 sons recently moved in with him, but I hadn't met her. In a terrible turn of events, I ran into my father at a supermarket, nowhere near where I live. We were visiting my partner's family, and my father happened to be there to drive his partner's son to a rugby match, and found out that his partner is the teacher that encouraged the class to bully me in school. Since then, she's been divorced, so her surname is different. I never knew her first name, so I had no way of knowing this was her. To say I was mortified is an understatement. I don't think she recognized me, but it was very awkward, mostly on my end. She spent most of the time fussing with her keys, but she's living in my father's house with pictures of me as a child, so I imagine she must know who I am by now, if she remembers me. My father's trying to arrange a big Christmas get-together for our family. Since we've not spent Christmas with him since 2019, he's desperate for me and my sons to be there, but I have no interest in spending any time with this woman. I've explained to him multiple times why, but he thinks my sons and I will love her if we get to know her. But to me, this is an adult who made an already difficult part of my life even worse to impress a group of 14-year-olds. My partner supports my decision not to attend, but I can tell it hurts my father. I know this might be stupid or immature, that it has been 10 years since I saw her last, and I could make small talk for my father's sake, but I also know that I'll just be uncomfortable the entire time. I had hoped never to see this woman again, and now she's living with my father? I know I should probably grow up and make peace with it, but whenever I think about seeing her, I just remember how awful she made me feel for 4 years as a grieving teenager. My father says not to dwell on the past, but I just don't think this is something I can forgive. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She knows who you are. She's recognized you. Your father would have told her all about you. I wouldn't let her around my children either, and I wouldn't be uncomfortable at dinner for the sake of your father. You did that for 4 years, and he wants you to do it for 20 plus more? I agree. Her fumbling with the keys to get away wasn't a coincidence. I can't imagine if she didn't know who you were and realized this was the first time to meet and make a good impression on her partner's daughter, that she wouldn't have made more of an introduction of herself to you. She was avoiding you because of what she did and didn't want to face you. Guilty conscience. Really, I can't see a way past this to heal without starting with an apology from her and acknowledgement of the hurt her role caused you. I also feel like your dad has been, and continues to be, negligent of your feelings, both back then and now. If you want to have a relationship with your father, see and talk to him on your terms and location. If that doesn't work for you, cut him out of your life. You should make peace with it for yourself. You don't need to make peace with her, or see her, or pretend it's all okay. OP, you are wrong about one thing, though. I know I should probably grow up and make peace with it. As a grown woman, you are making your boundaries clear. This is the right behavior. Just because your dad decided to have your bully in your life doesn't mean you must follow his lead. You are a separate person from him. Also, how can you know she won't bully your kids now? Or that she won't keep treating you the same? You can't. That's not a safe place for your family. Your dad is picking his pleasure over you. Move on without him. I, 43 female, and my ex, 46 male, Joe, have Molly, 18 female, together. I also have Josh, teen male, from another relationship. Long story. Joe and I divorced 8 years ago. Joe is remarried and has a kid with his new wife, a young toddler. Today, Josh had to be in an activity for several hours, and all kids under 18 had to have an adult present. I didn't sleep well last night and had a headache today, so I told Molly that she needed to take Josh because he couldn't go otherwise. Molly initially refused and told me to ask her grandparents, my parents, but they had just returned from an out-of-state trip and were tired from traveling. I didn't have anyone else to ask and ended up telling Molly she takes Josh or he doesn't go to Joe's kid's birthday party. Molly finally agreed to take Josh. I guess Molly called Joe and told him she couldn't come to the kid's birthday party because I forced her to take Josh to his activity, which was planned out way in advance. Joe called and went off on me for making Molly miss the party, saying that I was being manipulative and should have taken an Advil, sucked it up, and took Josh or found someone else to take him. I tried explaining to Joe that I had a headache and it was too last minute to find anyone else, so Molly was my only option. If she didn't do it, Josh would have had to miss out on something he's been looking forward to for a long time. Joe had some choice words for me and hung up. Later, when I told Molly her dad was unreasonably upset over her missing a baby's party, Molly sided with Joe, and that surprised me. Now I'm wondering if maybe I was in the wrong. You are the idiot. Molly and Joe are right. Josh is not Molly's responsibility. He's yours. Period. So is Josh an affair baby? Ah, classic long story. But then the story is just, I cheated. Oh, that's right. Considering Josh was born when she was still married to Joe, but Joe isn't his dad? Good catch. OP, you put the burden of being a parent on your teenage daughter. Did you ask your parents? Did you take any medication? What activity was it? Was there no one else you knew that could have watched him? She's 18. She could be moving out or going to college. What are you going to do then? Was this headache or migraine level? Like, you could have tried to suck it up. Yeah, who gets to stop being a parent because they have a headache? I'm having a raging headache. because my daughter's teething at the moment. Imagine if I looked at her and said, "Too bad, mommy has a headache." Both your children had obligations. It was your job to do what you could, so both children could make their commitments. It sounds like you didn't even ask your parents or try another option. It also sounds like you either value your son's commitments over your daughter's, or you intentionally want to sabotage your daughter's relationship with her father and her sibling. Neither is a good look. I'm sure Molly was also looking forward to this party, but oh no, Josh couldn't miss what he was looking forward to. My sister, Bella, 35 female, has 3 kids. Allie, a teen female, Katie, a young teen female, and Jasmine, a kindergartner female. A year ago, Bella got engaged to a man, Henry, 36, with 2 sons, Zach, a teen, and Xavier, a toddler. Katie and Allie were unhappy about this. They don't like Zach or want to live with a baby. Since their parents got married in a few months, both girls have had to babysit Xavier and Jasmine at least once, each on their own and together. Allie is mad at Bella and makes that clear. Bella grounded Allie for being disrespectful to them. Allie's only been harsh because she's unhappy about these people living with her. She also refuses to take a nice photo with Zach. Katie has also expressed that she's unhappy with them, but she's meek and does what she's told, so her mom is fine with it. Bella says they just have to get used to it. She thought I'd take her side, but I told her she was selfish for bringing these boys into her daughter's home against their will, and she should have either not gotten married or waited until they moved out. Now Bella will not let me talk to her kids. Am I the idiot? Edit. Marriage wasn't the rush, according to Bella. They loved each other and just had to do it quickly. They dated for about a month, and the kids met less than a month before the wedding. Xavier's mom is some girl in jail. He had her pregnant soon before they were all getting married. And no, he doesn't babysit his own kids. Why on earth did your sister marry this man? Like, what in the world? This woman got engaged when this man got another woman pregnant? You say they were engaged for 1 month? This woman's not acting like a mother responsible for her 2 children. She's making poor decisions. Of course her children don't like it. Their mother is moving fast with a man, and now their lives are thrown upside down, and there's a baby in the mix. It seems like a quick turnaround from getting some girl pregnant and dating OP's sister, then on to marriage, and the dude doesn't have to babysit. I think Henry needed a replacement mom/babysitter ASAP. OP, you are not the idiot. This is a huge change for her kids and more responsibility for them. And their mom seems to have the attitude of, they should suffer so I can be happy, without acknowledging her daughter's complaints. Guess who isn't going to be involved in her kids' lives once they can get out? OMG, your sister will probably be facing a world of legal and financial troubles because she literally cannot know who this man and his kids are that quickly. He could be a narcissist in the love bomb stage and ruin her life. He could be a criminal and get his ex in trouble, hence the jail. No one goes from dating to pregnant to being in jail quickly enough that this timeline makes sense. Boy, is your sister always this naive? She needs a reality check. Be prepared for Allie to show up on your doorstep. My guy friend, Tom, has been one of my best friends since college. We're in our mid-20s and are both in committed relationships with long-term partners. I've never had feelings for Tom, nor has he ever had feelings for me. Since college, Tom has been a huge watch fanatic. 2 months ago, he showed me this stunning vintage watch and made an offhanded comment about how he would die of joy if he somehow got his hands on one. Coincidentally, I was in New York City a few weeks ago and stumbled upon this watch store that just so happened to have the exact one that Tom wanted. It was expensive, I won't lie, at about $2,500, but I decided to get it for his 25th birthday. To me, it was basically fate, LOL. My boyfriend and I do very well financially, so this was something I could personally afford and wanted to buy for Tom, especially knowing how happy it'd make him. Tom has a tradition of hosting a dinner party at his place for his birthday, and then following that up with a cake and gift opening. I told him before the dinner that my gift was a huge surprise and asked if he could save it for last, and he agreed. His girlfriend ends up going first, and she gave him this gorgeous sweater she crocheted and a book he's been wanting, which I thought was super thoughtful and lovely. Last, it was my gift. When he opened it and saw what it was, he literally screamed, hopped over a bunch of people, and squeezed me in this huge bear hug. I was so happy to see him happy. It genuinely filled me with so much joy. He even got emotional, and I saw him swipe a few tears. He also said it was the best gift he'd ever received. The whole time his girlfriend was only slightly smiling and stayed quiet. The next morning, I got a text from his girlfriend that essentially said that although she appreciated my thoughtful gift, it was a bit out of touch and lacked awareness. She admitted that Tom had also told her about the watch, and she wanted to get it for him, but it was way out of her budget. She accused me of knowing this. I had no idea, and still getting it to rub it in her face to outshine her. She finished by saying how she felt like I had overstepped a boundary by getting the gift and would appreciate me not doing anything similar to this again in the future. I responded and told her that while I could see her point of view, I was just trying to do a nice thing for a close friend of mine. I asked her, wouldn't you rather he'd gotten the gift and seen the happiness that it brought him than him not getting it at all? She responded that happiness was only shared between me and Tom and no one else, and that she felt hurt by my actions. Only my boyfriend knows about this, and he's on my side. But thinking through it all again, I see how I could have overstepped. But my boyfriend says it's not my job to apologize for her insecurities. So, am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. You weren't thinking of how to hurt her. You just wanted a nice gift for your friend. Your boyfriend is right. You don't need to apologize for her insecurities. The girlfriend's point was valid up until she said that happiness was only shared between her and Tom and no one else. She needs to accept that just because you're someone's SO, that doesn't mean you'll be the only one to provide your partner with happiness in their life. Me thinks that OP did want to outshine the girlfriend and everyone else, so she also asked her friend to save opening her gift till the end because it was special. That to me was when it crossed over into, you are the idiot for me. When something that expensive, ostentatious, and important to him, if I were OP, I would have asked to give him his gift privately. Or she could have gotten several of their friends, including the girlfriend, to go in on it together, so it wouldn't be this big gift from her. But then OP wouldn't have gotten the attention she so desperately needed. Next time, spend $50 on a gift for a friend, and use the remaining $24.50 to buy a clue. You don't buy someone else an over-the-top gift, then insist it's the grand finale when you're partnered and you know the recipient has a partner. It's like wearing a long white dress to a wedding. Even if you didn't specifically set out to upstage the bride, it sure as heck looks like it. OP clearly wants to reinforce that she's the most important woman in his life, especially by insisting on being the grand finale. I feel so sorry for his girlfriend and her boyfriend. She may not even realize it, but she's keeping him as a backup in her mind, and she wants to make sure he thinks she's the ultimate woman in case their relationships don't work out. I can't imagine being so awful to my girlfriend or my friend's partner like that. You're not the main character in everybody else's life. My nephew, toddler, just graduated from preschool, and they had a preschool graduation. After, all the children came to my sister's, 37, house for a party, since they might not see each other again and would attend different elementary schools. Our cousin, 35 male, came to the graduation and complained throughout the ceremony that it was stupid and that the kids shouldn't get to have a preschool graduation because he never got one. The kids also got recognized for learning to read, which upset him, and he said loudly, "I know how to read too. These kids are nothing special." The parents behind us became increasingly angry at him, talking through the ceremony, and confronted him, causing a scene. At the party, he ate several cupcakes meant for the kids, causing a shortage, so some kids couldn't get any. He sat down at the kids' table and started quizzing the kids on trivia, and when they didn't know what he was talking about, he said they were not so smart after all. He specifically picked a fight with one little girl, preschooler. She was talking about how she learned to read, and my cousin told her, "That's nothing special. 86.8% of the population can read. Do you think your kindergarten teacher will be impressed? They won't." This led to a screaming confrontation with the girl's parents, causing the children to cry. I had my cousin removed from the house. This caused a huge rift in our family, with his parents, my aunt and uncle, calling me to say, "How dare you choose the side of some random girl's parents over your own blood?" and chewing me out for my betrayal. Am I the idiot? Edit. He just hates all graduations and birthdays because he says, no one cares that you got a piece of paper or that you managed not to die. He believes no one enjoys graduation and that it's forced on people by society, and he's doing everyone some kind of service by livening it up with his commentary. He did graduate high school. I found this way funnier than I should have. He's like a scene from a crap Adam Sandler movie. Not the idiot, and it's not difficult to see why he behaves like this when his parents will not only sit back and do nothing while he's acting this way, but actually stand up for his crappy behavior when someone stops it. Your cousin, did you mean 5 instead of 35? If he needs to make kindergarten kids cry, I'd question his parents about their parenting. This guy is jealous of preschoolers. How insecure must someone be to be threatened by small children? Your aunt and uncle are also an embarrassment because they should have been the ones to drag him out. However, this won't be his first time being an idiot over stuff like this, and it won't be the last. So he probably shouldn't have been invited, and definitely shouldn't be in the future. Attending an event celebrating children and spending it bullying said kids is a special kind of low. He needs therapy. Expressing no one cares that you got a piece of paper is really him saying no one cares about or loves me. He sounds like a misanthrope, but instead of avoiding people, he just wants everyone else to be as miserable as him. My 34 female sister Kim, 24, is staying with me and my husband for 6 months. She took a job across the country, but couldn't find any apartments in our area that did short-term lease after hers ended in April. She is paying us rent, though it's a lot cheaper, as the only space that's exclusively hers is her bedroom, and she has to obviously share the rest of the house. We do not have a rental agreement in place. As this was just a guest room, it's not something we would rent out anyway, so if she upped and moved tomorrow, it's not as if we'd be out of money. It's just a way for her to have a stable place to crash until she moves. In addition to our 2 kids, my husband and I also have a puppy, Merlin. We adopted him back in November and have gone through all the steps to get him trained. He's not our first dog. Now, Kim is not a dog person. She's not allergic. There's no trauma associated. We didn't even have one growing up. Ever since we were kids, she just never liked dogs. Kim was aware of Merlin when she moved in, and they've coexisted fine. Merlin doesn't even go upstairs, where her room is, and I think he can sense she's not a fan, so he mostly steers clear of her. We adopted Merlin from a rescue, and were told the other 2 puppies in the litter were also adopted out. Then we got a text this week from the woman who runs the rescue, asking if we knew anyone who wanted a dog. Merlin's sister, Sprinkles, was adopted shortly after he was, but returned, as the family didn't anticipate the breed's needs. They're hyperactive dogs who need a lot of room to run, along with multiple walks a day. So after talking about it with my husband and kids, along with visiting Sprinkles at her foster home, we agreed we wanted to adopt her. We told Kim, and the first word out of her mouth was, no. I gave her a weird look, and she said she tolerates Merlin, but doesn't want another dog running around the house. I told her we planned on doing the same thing with Sprinkles as Merlin. She'll stay on the ground level. Plus, as my husband and I will be training her after work, She won't even be inside a lot when my sister is. Kim said if we wanted another dog, we should wait until she moved out. Honestly, we were planning on getting a companion for Merlin at one point, just not this soon. Kim never asked about our plans when she moved in, but admittedly, we never told her this, as we didn't think it'd come up. At the end of the day, we signed the paperwork and are picking Sprinkles up tomorrow. My sister's still angry and said that this isn't fair, as she has nowhere else to go and she hates dogs. Are we wrong for bringing a dog in when we know how she feels? Not the idiot. She didn't quite come to you and express her concern or even try to explain her feelings. She blatantly said no, as if she owned the house. It isn't her house. It isn't her rules. Adopt that pup. I root for you and your husband. Adopting the pup is a noble and kind-hearted thing to do. If she doesn't like it, she can leave. That no was hilarious. Beggars, choosers, sis. She's a guest in your home, paying reduced rent for her room and access to the entire house. She tolerates Merlin? LOL, you're tolerating her living in your home and have made concessions for her to be comfortable, and she's acting a bit too entitled. This is your home, period. She doesn't have to like dogs, but for her to expect you to live your life around her, again, sounds entitled. No reason for her to be angry. Unpopular opinion, but you are the idiot. You have every right, but it would be kind to wait. Since she's paying rent, it would be nice to consider her. If she were freeloading, it'd be different, but it sounds like she's pitching in and plans to be out in a timely fashion. There's no real way to anticipate a new dog's quirks and training struggles. Unlike your current one, he may not avoid your sister. It's an unnerving and unpleasant situation for someone who doesn't want to be around dogs. Essentially, it sounds like she's going to be trapped for 6 months. Maybe she'll be lucky and can find somewhere else to go, but it sounds like she doesn't have options at the moment. My 26 male, wife, 26, gave birth to our beautiful baby boy a few weeks ago. I have a sister, 19 female, who is severely autistic and is nonverbal. She can only communicate by making gestures or making certain sounds to match her needs. Only I and my parents can tell which needs are which. I do love her so much, but I feel like I was the glass child due to her disability. Everyone focused on her, and even when she was first born, I had to look after her. My wife allowed my parents to meet their grandson in person a few days ago, along with my sister. I told my wife that I wouldn't allow my sister to hold him in case she has a random outburst, which she has a lot. They came around and we started chatting about her son, and then my mom pointed out that my sister hadn't held him yet. She didn't even know what was going on. She was distracted. I told them she was occupied at the moment and to leave her be. My mom called her over to meet the baby, and she scowled. It's the type of face she makes where she doesn't like something or someone, but then she smiles and sticks her hands out to hold him. I told her not right now. He was sleepy, and she started screaming, banging her hands against the wall. My dad took her to another room so she could trash it and calm down. My mom told me that I should have just let her hold him for a few seconds. As I said, I love her, but I don't trust her to hold my baby, not even be alone with him for 2 seconds, due to her random outburst. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Sister should not be at all near a baby. She's incapable of having any control over her own emotions and behaviors, which of course isn't her fault, but also doesn't eradicate the fact that your baby will be in danger in your sister's hands. It doesn't matter how much you care for your sister. Don't let your parents guilt trip you into giving your baby to your sister. Your mom is prioritizing including your sister over the literal safety of a baby. Yep, she's prioritizing her child's feelings over OP's child's safety. And it's probably obvious, but it would be unsafe to leave the baby with the grandparents and sister for this reason. Please, OP, when you need a babysitter or are considering letting the grandparents babysit, you have to consider this. Indeed, let's think briefly about what can happen if the newborn wakes up and starts crying and OP's sister gets scared. OP has spent his whole life caring for his sister and seeing everyone prioritizing her needs over his. He was also likely not allowed to express any negative feelings about any of it growing up. It's no wonder he's questioning himself now, even though it's obvious to those of us on the outside. My son Lauren is a tween and graduating from grammar school next month. He asked if he could rent a tux on the last day as a joke. I thought it was an odd request and had to sit on it for several days. He usually wears shorts and shirts, and sometimes I have to pick out all of his clothes, from underwear to socks, and dress him. He'd literally wear the same outfit all week if he could. He's not the life of the party and has a very few close friends. I decided he couldn't because he doesn't understand the attention that it would draw to him and could potentially turn into something embarrassing and follow him into middle school. It just seems too much. I told him I'd buy him a short-sleeved dress shirt so he could wear any of my ties. He said he didn't want to do that. He wants to wear a tux. He thinks it'll be funny. I explained that it's possible that some people won't think it's funny and you might regret it. I feel bad about it. My son thinks I'm just an idiot. You are the idiot. Don't assume that kids will bully him just because you would have. He's a tween and understands what kind of attention he asks for with a tux. Kids wear all sorts of weird stuff on the last day of school. Let your kid pick his own clothes, man. He's not a toddler, and he's not you. Ironically, the compromise that OP suggests is more likely to get the kid bullied because it's not clear or not whether it's a joke. In contrast, the full tux is clearly a joke, and most kids would find it hilarious. I had a friend wear monk robes on the last day of middle school. Everyone thought it was hilarious, except the teachers. Their frustration with it only made it that much better, though. He went into high school as a legend. I'm going to chime in because I have a kid who also loves to dress fancy. He got invited to a birthday party the other day, and he wore a full three-piece suit. Mind you, he's in the 8th grade, and he had just received the three-piece suit for his birthday. The party was all boys, and they all dressed like boys in athletic shorts and t-shirts. But my kid was in this three-piece suit. I was nervous about him wearing the getup, but he wore that suit confidently and pulled it off. When I picked him up, he even said that everyone said he was the best dressed there. My kid is also quieter and has only a few friends that I know of. He's not super social, but the way these kids embraced him was heartwarming. I was so glad that I didn't burst his bubble by saying he shouldn't wear the suit, and instead, I told him that he looked great. You need to let your kid express themselves however they feel. This might be a great chance for him to stand out and make a memorable moment out of this event. OP, it's a tuxedo, the height of cool and classy. It's James Bond, not a clown suit.